Wanna know what a one-sided crush on a musician did to Sophia? You gotta check out this awesome video. When Sophia heard her name, her heart just sank. She knew stepping into that courtroom was like firing a final shot at her past. But that shot? It was the start of a whole new chapter in her life, filled with all sorts of lessons, the good, the bad, and everything in between about betrayal and loyalty. Sophia, with her beauty, youth, and smarts, was just like so many others whose hearts got trampled in the game of love. Her story kicked off at a family get-together. That's where she first laid eyes on Liam, her dad's friend's son, and heard him play the setter. His music literally took her to another world, a place where she felt like a princess in a fairy tale. But you know how it goes, sometimes fairy tales turn into harsh realities, and for Sophia, that reality check happened in court. I met Liam at this family party. I'd heard about him, but that was the first time I got to see him up close and personal. So, after dinner, when it was time for him to play and sing, guess who was the one hushing everyone up to hear him? Yep, that was me. As soon as the first note of his setter filled the room, I closed my eyes and imagined myself as this girl in a fairy tale, waiting for her prince on a white horse to come from afar. I'm the second and the youngest in a small family. Both my parents worked, but in the past few years, after retiring, my dad got into business and was doing pretty well. They married late and decided to have us kids back to back. They put a lot of effort into raising us, and naturally, my brother and I turned out pretty successful. I studied photography and was prepping for my master's entrance exams. That night, Liam's playing and singing totally captivated me. I felt timeless and placeless, and every sound from his instrument drew me closer to him. When the party ended that night, I was already looking for excuses to see him again. On the way back, I told my dad I wanted to start music classes and asked if I could talk to Liam about it. Dad was cool with it and said he'd talk to Liam and arrange everything. A few days later, Dad told me he'd spoken with Liam, who said he teaches setter at a music school. After hearing that, I kinda tuned out the rest of what Dad was saying. I went to the school the same day. When I got there, Liam was already there. They told me to wait. An hour later, Liam showed up. When he saw me, he hesitated for a moment and then, like he suddenly remembered, he said, "You're Sophia, right?" That really stung a bit. Mean, it hadn't even been a week since the party, and he took so long to remember me? That kinda hit me hard. He invited me to his room and we immediately got into the music lesson talk. He figured out that my interest in learning to play was just a pretext, and I hadn't really been into it before. He asked, "How much do you listen to music every day?" I said mostly on weekends, and our chat kinda ended with him saying, "So, you just decided to learn to play in the last day or two?" I turned red with embarrassment. I gathered myself and said, "When you played, it introduced me to a whole new world. Now, I want to learn." He said it's a tough road ahead and I need to practice a lot. Classes started and I was determined to prove myself to him. So, I progressed really fast and soon moved to a higher level with a few other students. Liam was serious about his teaching, and that just made him more attractive. Gradually, over a few months, we got a bit closer. But I had a tough time ahead of me, especially with all these other girls who were smarter, prettier, and more charming than me, and Liam seemed to get along better with them. After class, the students would analyze every move Liam made, trying to relate it to themselves. But I had another advantage, my dad's friendship with Liam's dad. One day, I told my dad to arrange a party so Liam's family could come over. He agreed, and the party happened. Liam's dad kept looking at me like I was something special, telling my dad, "Daniel, you have such a beautiful and talented daughter." So, I guess I managed to win his parents' hearts. In the months that followed, there were several more visits between our families. Then one afternoon, my mom's phone rang. It was Liam's mom saying they wanted to come over for a good cause. I was over the moon. I had finally managed to get the stern and gloomy prince on my white horse of destiny. Liam's behavior changed after he proposed. He became much warmer and more intimate. He asked me not to come to the music school anymore, and I agreed because I couldn't stand those girls who were all rivals in my eyes. Thought I had everything I ever dreamed of in life, and everything seemed more beautiful. I was living the dreamiest days of my life and was so happy. Liam would sometimes travel for various concerts, and I'd spend hours waiting for him. 3 years ago, on a spring day, we got married and started our life together. Music teaching was part of our job and income, so Liam increased his classes and even took private students. I wasn't happy about him constantly being around young girls, but there wasn't much I could do. Initially, his students came to our house, but they totally disrupted our peace, so at my request, he started giving classes at the students' homes instead. Among Liam's students, there was this one girl who had been there the longest, and I was super sensitive about her. I tried to keep track of everything going on between her and Liam, which really upset him, and we fought about it a few times. He kept saying I didn't trust him, and if I didn't, why did I marry him? My question was why he still needed to go to her house for private lessons if she had been learning for years. That's where our struggles began and turned a year of paradise into a living hell. Do you think Sophia was right and Liam was cheating on her? Please share your thoughts with us and don't forget to like the video, it really supports us. Doubts and suspicions had taken over me, making every moment of my life bitter. Then, the final blow came. A friend from university, who lived out of town, called me. Her voice was shaky, and it was clear she was struggling to say something. She asked where Liam was. I said, yeah, he actually came to your city for a concert. I even offered to get her a ticket for tonight's performance. She hoped what she saw wasn't true, but felt she had to let me know. Suddenly, my ears went deaf, and my vision started to blur. She said she saw Liam dining with a woman at a hotel restaurant. They got curious, followed them, and saw them getting just one key and heading to a room together. When asked at the reception, they were told the hotel only gives shared rooms to married couples with valid IDs. My phone dropped from my hand, and I couldn't hear anything anymore. Coming back to my senses, I called one of the band members. He told me their last performance was yesterday afternoon and they all had returned. I felt like I was choking. I was happy when Liam called yesterday morning saying the performance was extended for one more night because it meant more money. I couldn't and didn't want to call Liam. I didn't have the courage to discuss it with my family either. So, I just locked myself at home and cried. I was dying to know who Liam had married and spent the night with. All the while, I kept telling myself maybe my classmate was mistaken and it was someone else, not Liam. But if the band had returned, why hadn't he? Liam texted saying they were flying back tonight and would probably get home by early morning. I got lost in my turbulent thoughts again. Around 3 a.m., I heard the key turning in the lock, and Liam entered. I hadn't eaten or slept since the afternoon. I had cried so much that my eyes were completely swollen. I was lying on the couch, didn't even lift my head from under the blanket or say a word. I just asked, "Which hotel did you stay at?" When he mentioned the hotel, I couldn't stop crying, and it quickly turned into sobbing. Em looked scared and came over to me. I asked him point blank, "Liam, do you have another woman?" His eyes widened in surprise and he said, "You are my wife." I pressed, "Anyone besides me?" I could see the stress in him. He didn't answer, just started beating around the bush. I confronted him loudly, pounding my fist on the wall, "But you stayed an extra night than the rest of the band, in a shared room with your so-called wife." He kept denying it, saying I was imagining things. Frustrated and arguing that I didn't trust him and was just looking for excuses, he left me to take a shower. But I was so weak, I fainted, and the sound of me hitting the floor brought him out of the bathroom. I don't remember much after that. He called his sister, who's a doctor, to come over. When I opened my eyes, he had fallen asleep beside me. I looked at him, wondering how many trips he had made, lying about performances. Who was this woman, really? Liam didn't seem like a cheater. I woke him up and begged him not to torment me anymore. At first, he denied everything, but when I threatened to call the hotel or his bandmates, he was taken aback and admitted that things weren't as I thought. Tears were streaming down my face. I loved Liam, his very being, his look. And now another woman had shared all that with me. Liam was talking about this woman, Ava, the same girl who had been his student for years. He said he couldn't control himself and had temporarily married her for 6 months. He held my hands, saying he would make it up to me. He claimed Ava didn't intend to marry him and was planning to leave the country, calling it a misguided decision to end a long-term relationship. Ava was about to leave, and in her final days in Iran, she wanted to spend more time with him. But neither for me nor for any woman on this earth is such a thing acceptable. Told him he didn't need to leave Ava, because I was the one leading his life. I couldn't just overlook such a long period of cheating. I asked him to leave the house for a while so I could gather myself and talk things over with my family. Liam spent a few days at his sister's place and begged me not to let one mistake ruin our good life. "I love you and I'm not giving you a divorce," he said. I was alone at home for a week, tormented by thoughts of Ava in Liam's arms, preparing myself for a big decision. I was sure Liam was only saying he loved me to save face in front of his parents and students. I kept a close eye on Ava and Liam, gathering information about their past and what was going on between them. I even found out they had taken several trips together in recent months. I tracked down every hotel they stayed in. It was agonizing, but this was not a mistake I could easily forgive. I made up my mind, informed my parents, and filed for divorce, waiting for the court day. Finally, the day of the trial arrived. I was shaking inside as I walked in, leaving my past behind with each step. The courtroom was full of familiar faces, my parents looked worried, and Liam seemed confused and remorseful. My lawyer reassured me that everything would go well. I wasn't after revenge anymore, I just wanted peace. In court, the truth Liam tried to hide was exposed. Ava, his former student and temporary partner, testified that Liam had promised to marry her. But when I found out about the affair, Ava decided to leave the country and cut off all ties with Liam. When it was my turn, I spoke firmly yet calmly. I lost my love for Liam. But I found myself. I no longer want to live with a man who broke my heart. At the end, the judge granted the divorce, and I left the courtroom with heavy but steady steps. I felt a weight lifted off my shoulders. Outside the court, my parents hugged me, praising my courage for seeking the truth and ending a toxic relationship. I finally felt at peace, knowing that though a challenging path lay ahead, it was filled with hope. Excited and ready to discover our next videos? Don't forget to follow our channel for access to every new and exciting part. Activate the bell so you don't miss a moment, and let us know what you want to see next with your energetic likes and comments. Every subscription and share is a step towards building a larger community and more diverse content. Let's continue this adventure together and explore the thrilling next chapters. Thumbs up megaphone.